while the WWE is trying to counterpunch AEW, that promotion is putting on their biggest show of the year in what has been their best run in years. Let's get ready for AEW All In coming up this weekend. This is your AEW All In preview as they are in Texas for their biggest show of the year, and honestly, their biggest show in a long time. We have been talking all this week about how this feels like a new era for AEW and the start of something big for this company again. I am trying to not put too much weight into it, but it does feel like there's an opening that WWE has left them, and there is an opportunity, given that some of the changes they have made, there is an opportunity for this company to actually grow and to actually look like they know what they're doing creatively and actually keep up this momentum. Very, very important card for AEW. So let's get into it. We're not going to do the pre-match shows, but we will start with the Ops taking on the Death Riders for the Trios titles. That is Shibata, Hobbs, and Samoa Joe taking on Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Gabe Kidd. I feel like this night is going to be a way to turn away from the Death Riders as kind of being this main focus of the company and this kind of House of Torture-esque run that they are on, but I don't think it is going to be the permanent end of the Death Riders. And so because of that, I do think that this is the way for them to keep alive, basically, is to win this trios match. So I feel like it will be Claudio Wheeler and Gabe Kidd coming away with a victory. I am sure that Gabe Kidd's contractual status in Japan is going to maybe confuse this a little bit, but I do think that there is still an opportunity here for the Death Riders. They have multiple members. You can do a Freebird thing with them. And so I think that because Moxley is going to lose, I think, in the main event, spoiler alert, I feel like if you still want to keep this group as a relevant threat, there still needs to be probably some gold on them. And so I think that this is now the way you kind of do that. Give them the Trios title. The Hurt Syndicate defend the tag team titles against Jet Speed and the Patriarchy in a three-way dance for the tag team titles. I understand they're trying to set up some drama with the concertos that we have seen on Dynamite and Collision. I don't think I'm going to buy that the Hurt Syndicate are going to lose the tag team titles in this bout. I don't. I don't feel like that is going to be a thing that is going to happen. The Patriarchy, it's been a fine storyline. It has been some of Christian's best work. It's not on the level of the Hurt Syndicate. Jet Speed, they're fun. It's cool, I get it. I just don't see either of these teams being the ones that take the belts off of the Hurt Syndicate. So I think this is just going to be a good spotlight for a couple of very good wrestlers in AEW's tag team division. Hurt Syndicate, I have picking up the win. TNT title on the line. Kyle Fletcher against Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole trying to get back into the spotlight and find that relevancy that was left behind when he found the devil. It hasn't been great. It has not been an overly inspiring TNT title run, and I think that this is what this belt was for. Guys like Kyle Fletcher getting that opportunity to shine as the champion and having him have that belt on Dynamite but really be the main guy on Collision, I think would be a good kind of next step for him. He is not someone who is ready for a world title opportunity yet, but I do think that is coming. I do think that having him be the main secondary guy for a while, though, is a smart move. So I think Kyle Fletcher wins this one and becomes the TNT champion. Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay taking on the Young Bucks. If Swerve and Ospreay win, the Young Bucks are no longer EVPs, because that is how corporate law works. If the Young Bucks win, Swerve and Will Ospreay cannot challenge for a championship for a year. Like I said, I feel like the setting up of those stories and those stakes was just believable enough that I can see either side winning this one. Like, I think that you could do a year of Ospreay building his way up, trying to get a championship match and being able to have it at All In next year and have that be his big crowning moment as kind of the next face of All Elite Wrestling. So I think there is something you can do with that. I think Swerve, the thing with that makes it a little on the unbelievable side for me for Swerve is that you can do this and then turn him into just like really pissed off at the world bad guy again. But we kind of just did that, and we've established that this is someone the crowd is really, really behind. So I feel like there would be maybe a not awesome character change that would come with that one. The Young Bucks losing the EVP titles, I just feel like this has really run its course and isn't necessarily a character development that people have loved from the Young Bucks. A lot of unanswered questions still with the shredding of the documents and everything like that. I have said that it is time to go into a new era for AEW. That includes stopping this. So I will have Swerve and Ospreay beating the Young Bucks and coming away as the people who were able to strip them of their EVP titles. Women's Casino Gauntlet. I think that they have done a decent job of building up a few of the stories that you could have coming out of this. I think there are a lot of interesting challengers. A couple that I would like to see, because it's tough to really predict who is going to get a win in bouts like this, when we don't really know how long it is going to go and how many people are going to be in it or who all is going to be in it. I could see Tekla getting a run, like really rocket her into main event status. I think that's a real interesting one. I am always behind Willow, especially if Mercedes wins the women's championship match. Having Willow against Mercedes would be interesting. And I think you can do Athena in that role as well. I think she has certainly outgrown Ring of Honor, and this would be a very good spot to, again, shoot her up into the championship opportunity area. So those would be the ones that I would focus on. I guess if I were to give one solid pick, I think it's time for Willow to become a main event player. And so I would go with her as the winner of the Casino Gauntlet on the women's side. On the men's side, the big story around this has been MJF with Mark Briscoe, then MJF with a pretty good promo on Mystico on Collision. I feel like there is still more to do with Mystico and with MJF, so I don't think he gets his title opportunity out of that. I don't see Mark Briscoe getting his chance there. And so now you look at, well, where does this go then? Who is going to come in and pick up the championship victory, or sorry, the championship opportunity coming out of this one? And I will admit, the reason I'm dragging this on is I still don't totally know who I think they could go with. Honestly, like the way the character has been, Beast Mortos getting an opportunity as the champion, I think would be a very fun kind of pivot for them to do, a bit more out there. I think that they've done a good job of getting away from some of the old vets and everything like that. But I still think there are maybe some young guys who aren't necessarily ready for that big next spot. I could see maybe like an Ibushi or someone along those lines getting it, but I honestly and genuinely don't have a super great answer as to who is going to win this. So maybe it is going to be MJF. And the Mystico match is just a little thing off on the side. I think a lot of people have predicted a hair versus mask match. Maybe you go title opportunity versus mask or something like that. So yeah, I really genuinely am curious to see what direction they go with the men's gauntlet. So I'm going to do what I was always told in sports broadcasting never to do, and that is to say, I don't know. I don't know. The unified title will be created, I guess, as Okada takes on Omega. The Continental Championship and the International title will come together. They avoid the Intercontinental, the moniker that they could have had. I think that would have been funny. I think unified title is a really dumb name for a championship that isn't your main championship. But I could see, because of all the conversation about there being too many belts in AEW, I do kind of wonder if you unify this and then make the Continental Classic for this and the AEW World title or something along those lines. And like whoever wins this one gets a title for title match with the AEW champion, and they make it the undisputed AEW title, and then you are back to just AEW, TNT, and just a couple of singles belts on the men's side. Again, we're talking about fixing a lot of problems in AEW. We can push it a little bit further. As far as the build for this match goes, they have done such a great job of making Okada seem like an absolute badass heel that, like, going in, I kind of figured Omega probably get the win and just like, hey, good has prevailed. I think there's going to be enough of that, as we've kind of talked about on this show. Although, I guess looking at it now, I have the heels winning the trios titles, the heels winning the tag team titles still, a heel winning the TNT belt. So maybe we aren't as loaded on feel-good moments as I thought, but I do think that this is a time where Okada probably needs it a little bit more than Omega does. I think that Omega, his absence maybe has taken away from some of the star power, but Okada's presence has taken away from his star power. And that's the problem. I think seeing Kenny Omega, seeing the highlights, seeing his matches in AEW, you're still like, hey, that is the best bout machine. There have only been a couple of times in AEW where we have watched Okada perform and thought, that's the Okada we remember. And so, like, to have this guy who at one point was the definition of aura in professional wrestling, and this guy who was the best wrestler in the world at a point, to have him feeling like a mid-card character is just not what this guy was brought in to be. And so I think that this is the time where, again, wrongs are righted, and Okada is now feeling like a main event true blue superstar again, and I think he gets the win in this bout. Women's title on the line, Toni Storm against Mercedes Moné. It has been quite the undefeated run for Mercedes Moné, collecting championships all over. Does she get one more in the AEW championship with Toni Storm? My initial thought is yes. My initial thought is that Toni Storm has kind of done everything she can with this championship now, and it might be time to freshen things up a little bit and give Mercedes this title. But I could also see this being the first real setback for Mercedes as well. Overall, though, I do think that it will be Mercedes Moné who comes away victorious from this, and we are just able to kind of freshen up the championship picture a little bit. Not that Toni Storm is unfresh. She is amazing and incredibly entertaining, but probably could use some time off as well. And so I think that having her come back in a bit of a chase position would be a very good thing, and having Mercedes Moné stay hot and once again kind of reestablish that this is one of the better performers in the world as your champion, I think that is probably the way that they go. And then Texas Death for the World Championship. It is Moxley, Hangman in the main event of All In. I have said before, this is the changing of the guard in AEW. This is the moment that Hangman becomes the face of this company. I think he gets the win here, and I think the Death Rider story doesn't go all the way away. Moxley probably takes some time off, and the Death Riders kind of go upper mid-card, we will say. And this story that has frustrated everyone reaches its crescendo with it creating a new number one babyface in this company in the form of Hangman Adam Page, kind of culminating a story with Hangman where it can't win the big one, doesn't want to win the big one, and had turned pretty dark for a while, but has found his way back to the light to win the championship. I could see that kind of being the direction that they go. I think this match is going to be incredible. I think this is going to be very violent. I think it is going to kind of mirror WrestleMania 40, where there's going to be run-in, counter-run-in, run-in, counter-run-in. I could see Darby Allin coming back. I could see Orange Cassidy coming back. Adam Copeland coming back. I could see those guys finding their way back onto the roster and preventing any of these shenanigans from the Death Riders. So I think this is going to be a wild match, and I think at the end of it, Hangman stands tall as the new face of AEW and this promotion's champion. So that is the preview for AEW All In. A reminder, new wrestling podcast from Couch Potato Diary. It is the Living Room Lariat, available wherever you get your podcasts. It is all the wrestling content from Couch Potato throughout the week into one nice little podcast for you. So if you're a wrestling fan that likes the stuff that we do wrestling-wise, but doesn't want to sit through all the sportsy stuff, I get it. It's not for everyone. So that is your opportunity to go out and listen to all the wrestling content from Couch Potato Diary.